Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Wrestler Review. I'm Dilly G. That's John Hastings. Gossip on these fools. What are we talking about this week, John?
Well, we had a lot of technical difficulties in the run-up to recording this very episode because guess what? The man does not want us discussing these two individuals. The man is trying to keep down two people. One, a man named New Jack, whose dying wish was to be covered in cocaine in a wheelchair, still greatest wrestler of all time. Number two, Mustafa Saeed, a man who smoked pencil shavings.
I was listening to I was listening to our Sergeant Slaughter episode, and we had an argument about General Adnan and if he was actually involved in Saddam Hussein at all, even though he said he was, and you don't believe that,
Yeah,
which is
Dylan
totally valid.
Dylan's a little con artist susceptible boob.
I'm gonna say that for New Jack. I don't really believe. I think he was just playing a character. I don't think that he did half of the things he did. And Mustafa Saeed is just clearly a nice man.
I completely agree with you. What I think happened is actually the worst case scenario for any wrestler, which is New Jack's just pretending. He's a loudmouth who's like, I'm going to pretend to be the people that used to scare me. And then what happens a lot in wrestling is, when did we start pretend? When did we become the things we were pretending to be?
Oh, but that's like that's an old quote, right? You are who you pretend to be, that one? Where it's like, if you just do things ironically enough, then fucking Donald Trump gets to fucking be a lib or whatever he's being now.
That's right. Yeah, he's a lib now. For us, Donald Trump
To me,
is
he's a lib.
Yeah. To us, he's a lib.
But you're still letting
First of all,
judges
he's wearing
live?
a tie. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's wearing a tie. That's lib-coded. A woman touched that tie. Get it off of
Exactly.
him. Get it off of him.
Red is the sister of pink. And that's true.
Yeah. Here's the problem with the Gangstas.
Uh-oh.
Nothing. There's nothing wrong with them. What a fucking tag team. This is how you want there. It is crazy that Jim Cornette basically invented how ECW presented wrestlers, because Jim Cornette was like, look, I have found two guys that are going to be heels. They are not good at wrestling. And I'm going to disguise that. Watching these three matches was one of the greatest examples of seeing how a wrestling booker can take untalented people and make them hotter than boiling water on a Sunday that's also hot, Dilly G.
Let's not say untalented.
Say that they're untalented. They do not have any ability to be professional wrestlers. They are A, an exceptional talker, and B, an intimidating guy who picks his nose during every promo. Nothing scarier. He's gonna put a booger on you.
What is wrestling? Is it in the ring or is it everything? Because I think it's everything, and I think that
is it everything,
there you go.
hipster boy? Go have
What
a
is
latte.
acting? What is acting?
Acting
Is it pretending to be something, or is it being hot? Because I think half of acting is just being hot, and I think that's bore out.
First of all, when I'm on stage, 3/4 of it are being hot. When everyone
Yeah.
else is on stage, it's 10%.
Yeah, it's
That's
just
how hot
being
I am.
charismatic, and that's what the
Yeah.
Gangstas are. Are they good at, like, if you're gonna port the Gangstas to an actor, you got two McConaughey's on your hands. They're good at being themselves and truly nothing else. And if you ask them, if they're gonna ask you for $600 a month so they can talk to you in prayer or whatever McConaughey does now.
First of all, I resent how good your analogy of Gangstas being McConaughey is, and I don't like how good that analogy is. I'm angry at you.
If you fuse them into
right.
into one wrestler, I was thinking of, they would be the world champion in exactly 1992 in WWF, because there's neither of them are very talented at the nuts and bolts of professional wrestling, like in the ring. But you would have literally a jacked guy who's a great promo, and they'd be like, yeah, we got a new Zeus. I think I'll just replace the existing Zeus. No one will notice. They all look the same. Vince McMahon.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Not only that, if the Gangstas were one wrestler, they would be the AEW champion right the fuck now. Because their finishing move is great. I slam him and you headbutt him. That's phenomenal.
Slam
That's
butt.
all you need. Slam butt. Oh my God! Why didn't they call it the slam butt? The Gangstas hit him with the slam butt. Anyway, that's all you like. New Jack is also I think the Gangstas deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame more than almost any other wrestler, because they literally are the first example of basically mid-90s through to now. How do you disguise an untalented wrestler and make them a multi-generational legend-style wrestler, and it's exactly the way the Gangstas were pushed, which is it's heavy on the charisma, and when they get in the ring, it's literally like kick, punch, they win, they lose, doesn't matter because they're still whatever. Like, their gimmick is separate from their in-ring ability completely, and no one is watching them because I'm like, God, I got to see the slam butt. Everyone's just sort of like, let's finish this thing in the ring, and then I would like to hear from the slightly skinnier one about his various opinions. Like it's everything you've ever wanted. The commentators do such a good job of just like, I don't know how to feel about these guys. I mean, they're bringing their own security to the ring, and also I don't like them. Like it's done so well. There's a promo with Jim Cornette where Jim Cornette's trying to get them to sign, and I've never seen a heel basically remain a heel while rebuking a heel manager before in my life, which is just like, no, you are a redneck, Jim Cornette, and I don't like rednecks. And Jim Cornette gets angrier than any Vince Russo accusation when it's implied he is a redneck. It's phenomenal, Dylan.
So we can start there. This is the Gangstas coming into Smoky Mountain, and Jim Cornette offers his services as a manager, and it all makes sense. He's like, listen, you guys hit people, and you get caught doing it. I can teach you how to not get caught. And then New Jack just makes it. New Jack just says, 400 years of slavery. I'm never working for a white man again. The Gangstas are black owned, and it's like, man, no, I love that. Like, pardon me?
You're missing the greatest line in that promo. I got a college degree and a criminal record. I know how to make decisions.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the greatest lines of professional wrestling. I got a college degree and a criminal record. I know how to make decisions. Yeah, and it's just like the classic. Like, it's just every single. Like, you know what? The WWE always has, like, plausible deniability. The Nation of Domination has Owen Hart in it. You know, Saba Simba was Tony Atlas originally, so he's not a savage. He's getting in touch with his roots. But Smoky Mountain's like, nope, all black people think that we're the Gangstas. All black people are criminals on the inside. They during the end of one of these matches, it's just a normal professional wrestling match, and then the follow-up beatdown is fucking wild.
Oh my God, it's literally you're talking about the Rock and Roll Express match where it's literally like,
yeah, we can go right to the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, it'll be weird because we're doing the debut like last or something, but we can go right into the Rock and Roll Express match.
Now, first of all, Dylan got it slightly wrong with the Jim Cornette interaction. I accidentally went on a bit of a deep dive of Smoky Mountain Wrestling Gangstas lore. Actually, the Jim Cornette interaction was when they were headed towards I believe it was the South Central Street Brawl, where there's no rules against the Rock and Roll Express, and Jim Cornette comes out to be like, look, I've always been fighting these guys. Plays on the history, and the Gangstas still say no. That's how exciting this was. The promo we're talking about,
it says something
after the match.
It's like it really made me think of like something that I probably 90s wrestling promoters didn't think of, but it does come off like the heels, like the way you can describe like the Attitude Era, like 90s wrestling, ECW, they didn't like make baby faces different. They just made heels that are worse than the existing heels. Like, the Gangstas obviously do have some legitimate points. Those, like, the best, like, heel wrestlers always have some legitimate point, and then they just, like, take it too far. Versus, like, obviously New Jack as a babyface in ECW is, like, almost playing the same character. It's just, like, now he's facing a guy who's, like, way shittier than Jim Cornette. And as far as the moral reality of Smoky Mountain Wrestling is the way I'll say it, which will be a college thesis I work on when I'm 50. The moral reality of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Jim Cornette is like, that's like, you thought this was a heel? Well, now this dude is here. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Not only is he a heel, he's also the color of people you don't like.
Yeah, he doesn't respect the rules, and he's black. That's like basically Jim Cornette's entire pitch. Imagine if someone didn't respect the rules and they were not a white person.
Yeah, and they didn't have the redeeming qualities of their perfect skin.
Exactly. They don't have you don't know for sure if they have a soul. That's what Lance Russell kept saying as the Gangstas kept walking to the ring.
This is what I'm saying about like wrestling now. They are kind of missing out on it because in the end, everything is to sell like a fucking gum versus Jim Cornette was like, what will get people to put their butts in a seat oh, I think racism will. You just wouldn't get this now with AEW, obviously. WWE, obviously. But, like, wrestling used to be, like, wrestling used to be comment sections. You know what I mean? Like, how everyone's like, don't go into the comment section on any social media. It's just, like, the coarse, worst people in the world. If you're a woman doing stand-up, it just goes not funny. You know, or if it's a woman doing stand-up with a funny joke, it'd be like, how come when they can always, all they do is talk about sex? This is fucking disgusting. Like, that's every comment section, and that's what wrestling used to be, was like an expression of the lowest common denominator. We need
totally
Smoky
right,
Mountain Wrestling back to do the culture war angles, otherwise Facebook Reels is going to take off. We need a character
No,
called...
but hang on, but here's the point that's even more
Yeah.
amazing about the Gangstas is Jim Cornette didn't Jim Cornette was like, this is going to be a great heel tag team. What he didn't realize was part of the Gangstas problem is the fans got so angry that they were just upset that this was happening. And the other problem they had was a lot of the places they were playing were fire halls in towns where all the firemen were in the KKK. And Jim Cornette was suddenly like, oh, I might be from the South, but I didn't realize how the South is. Because as much as Jim Cornette won't acknowledge it, he has spent most of his life living in cities. And it's the same problem, like anyone who spent most of the time living in the city where they're like, I know what a conservative person is. And then he moves to Knoxville, Tennessee, and he was like, shit, I didn't fucking realize. I thought that was just Tracy Smothers' gimmick. I didn't realize this was real. I thought everyone, are you shooting? I thought he was working. You shooting? This is a shoot? You're KKK for a shoot?
We can go right into the rock and roll and Gangstas match then, because this is what you're referencing, is that like the YouTube link to this match at least is just like a basically old school DVD commentary of some guy who I don't know, who I'm sure everyone else does, Jim Cornette talks about, they would go into these sounds with the Gangstas gimmick, and people would either A, not show up, or B, like a policeman, a fireman, someone would be with the Klan. And they would be very upset.
Yeah, I think also, what's that conversation like? Police officer walks, because of who I am, I don't like this. A police officer? No. I'm a member of the Ku Klux Klan. It's like, imagine you're just like, okay, all right, okay, I've just paid a deposit of $1,500 to use this venue. I just gave that money to a guy who just showed me his Klan card. Luckily, I was in wrestling in the 80s, so I could call my friend Dick Murdoch, who I assume is in some sort of administrative position.
Like, that was the thing.
That's the other thing I just realized. It's not weird for Jim Cornette to know someone in the KKK. Like, he'd be like, oh, yeah, no, I forgot. Yeah, I know like 8 guys in the KKK.
Yeah. One guy who was in the Ku Klux Klan was literally the cornerstone of his business for a bit.
Was Dick Murdoch the cornerstone of Smokey Mountain Wrestling?
Dick Murdoch was in Smokey Mountain Wrestling.
He was in. He popped in and then he stopped showing up, but kept sending promos from him sitting in Speedos in the snow that they couldn't really use, which again...
I mean, that sucks that you it sucks about wrestling that you like watch so many people who are in, like, watch a guy in the KKK and be like, listen, yeah, he is in the KKK, but like he's done some stuff that's pretty funny. You know what I mean? It sucks to
look, I don't love that he's in the KKK, but I do love that anytime he got close to winning the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, he'd get in the middle of the ring and then do that run in a circle woo, 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 woo thing. So, like, it's what,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like I've said that on previous episodes, but I really like, wrestling is missing people that don't like wrestling that much, because Dick Murdoch has, I mean, the KKK thing is terrible, but every business needs the energy of someone who they want to make a manager, but is constantly refusing that promotion.
Yeah, the thing that people don't understand, that if the UFC didn't exist, Sean Strickland, who is currently making a lot of money bringing influencers to his gym and fully attacking them, like, understand where understand because of where the center of society is now, if you veer slightly into the edges, you're like, what's going on in here? A guy in an American flag segment with deep PTSD from childhood trauma is attacking Sneeko and someone that may know Logan Paul. And you're like, what the fuck? And you're like, it has 450 million views, and Sean Strickland keeps saying he is not a influencer. He has 4 podcasts and a lot of YouTube revenue. Like, it's just, you've hit it completely, which is what wrestling is missing. What wrestling has now, and it's the thing with American society, is you want good America, you need a perfect balance of nerds and cowboys. That's how America works, is you need the cowboys to be like, we're gonna do some fucking crazy shit, and then you need the nerds to be like, actually, that is not how we do that. Sit down, Brutus. Sit down. And that's the problem. And wrestling in the 80s had the perfect balance of nerds and cowboys. You know what I'm saying? You had the Macho Man Randy Savage, the perfect nerd. I love wrestling so much, I'm not going to let my wife out of this closet. And then you have Hulk Hogan, the perfect cowboy. A man who will just double down on lying about being alive for 400 days in 1 year. Do you understand? Like, that's the, like, everyone's like, can you believe Hulk Hogan believe this? I'm like, yeah. This is how Hulk Hogan got $10 million. He was playing bass in a band in Florida. A Japanese man broke his leg, and then he just went back to that gym the next day, and they were like, get this man a career. Understand that.
Hogan's most recent lie, which now is weeks old at this point, but his most recent lie was that he was the first guy to wrestle Brock Lesnar when he had just got signed back to WWE from UFC. Where it's like, yeah, I guess if you're so down the fucking rabbit hole that you do believe you are John Cena, hell yeah. I mean, that's pretty fucking cool. Like, yeah, and that's when I was in the movie Role Models or whatever.
Oh my God, I can't remember when I was Schindler in Schindler's List. I played the list. I'll tell you what you don't want to do, which is read that and then immediately turn to your own wife and start saying, like, can you believe what Hulk Hogan's getting up to now? And you're just like, oh yeah, no, you're a real person. You don't.
Oh
you don't
yeah, you're literally about to have a baby. Anyway. You can't move because you have a baby in you, so I'm just going to tell you now.
I'm going to tell you a lot. I'm going to tell you a lot about wrestling.
Oh,
First
yeah,
of all, his
a lot
name
of
is
stuff.
Bob.
I like that you're is like the perfect nerd, an abuser, the perfect cowboy, a racist.
That's correct.
Okay, good. So this is
Jim Cornette is the greatest example of the nerd cowboy. You know what I'm saying? I like statistics, and I like that people aren't from here aren't welcome. That's why Jim Cornette is perfect.
I would say he's a perfect nerd and cowboy because he becomes the cowboy, right?
Yeah, he's the podcast cowboy. Howdy.
Well, he's the guy you will need in your business where it's like, I can say fuck you to everybody because in the end, I'll never be poor. He's talented, but he'll never be poor. Like, Jim Cornette would just, like, figure out something else to do.
Yeah,
he just loves
he'll
wrestling.
Figure out how to be from... He has no kids and he's from money. I'll tell you how Jim Cornette's able to behave the way he is. Like, yeah,
no
he
kids.
inherited a house from his parents. Yeah, I know. Like, you know, as you get older, what you realize is the bar to giving no fucks is actually a lot lower than you realize. It's just you need certain things. If you have a house paid for in cash from inheritance, yeah, you're gonna be like, fuck it, I'm starting a podcast. It's 8 hours long every week, and every third thing out of my mouth is real weird.
Yeah, well, it is like Jim Cornette just like was doing what a podcast is, but it was just like over, you know, it was just someone who like, sorry, sir, that latte is going to take a bit of while. He's like, that's why I order them. Everybody here, you want to hear how Tully Blanchard tried to put gum in his cockhole? You don't? I don't give a shit.
Like, bear in mind, here's how Jim Cornette got out of being Me Too'd. Yeah, I did do that. It was cool. And everyone was like,
dude, maybe it's just a thing where you just, what was he accused of?
He made a bunch of young wrestlers fuck his wife in front of him. And it was like a big thing of like, he'd have hot tub parties with all the wrestlers. And it was implied that if you didn't,
so he just did the thing we always said he did.
Yeah, you wouldn't excel in Ohio Valley wrestling. It made me really think Jim Cornette may listen to the Wrestler Review. God damn, these fucking guys have a good idea.
What an unpleasant evening of just like a guy tells you about a match that you have to watch with him and it sucks, and then you have to fuck his wife, and then he goes back to telling you about the match.
You're also a 24-year-old super fit guy because you're trying to make it in wrestling. So you woke up, you've eaten 2 cans of tuna and a lot of water. You did legs for 90 minutes, and then you have to watch Dory Funk versus like Jumbo. Oh fuck, Jumbo Saruda. Jumbo Saruda, no commentary for 35 minutes on a camcorder record while a hot tub's warming up, and then wow.
I like the ominous hot tub warming up, and he's like watching you not have fun, and then looking at the place where you're also not gonna have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like, understand? Like, what a
she's gonna fist
day.
you. Pardon me?
Yeah, I'm gonna fist me. Connell!
You try.
And Bob Connell's still doing
My
commentary?
wife is looking deep in your eyes. She's fucking on top, sweating directly in your eyes. You try and look anywhere else. It's me, naked, with a tennis racket in my ass.
Yeah, but I'm still covering my penis because I am a submissive and I don't want you to see my flower.
Tell me I'm bad.
Yeah. What gimmick are you when you're fucking my wife? What's your gimmick?
Oh yeah, he's just grilling you for where your character is or whatever. Rock and Roll Express versus the Gangstas. It is every single Rock and Roll Express match. They get the heat on him. And then the thing I really like about Rock and Roll Express matches that Jim Cornette outlines is they would have long comebacks in some matches, but sometimes the comeback would be like 8 seconds long and they just win out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was
like in this match.
It was actually that was an amazing insight, which is like, yeah, it also shows you're like, oh, Jim Cornette would actually be good on commentary if he would relax his kayfabe slightly, but it's like, it's absolutely true because they win literally. What's his face? The blonde one who got caught cheating on his wife while watching the 700 Club. Greatest end of a marriage story ever. Let me say it quickly. Tully Blanchard's on the 700 Club is asked, did you cheat on your wife? And he looks at the camera and goes, I did, but not nearly as much as Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton is watching at home with his wife. He has always told his wife, I never cheated on you. In that moment, his wife goes, I knew it, and kicks him out of the house. Fuck you. Oh, it's so
Hell
good.
yeah. It is fucking crazy. These guys were heartthrobs. Every time I see them, it's like, what kind of fucking bunny rabbit ears shit? Like they never even seen like an attractive guy at the mall.
Robert Gibson looks. I've never seen someone look more like they have halitosis in my fucking life.
These guys in 20. Yeah.
Just looks like he interrupts you. It was very fun that I got to interrupt you for this joke, but Ricky Morton does seem like, Dylan, start telling a story. I've been to a Piggly Wiggly. Like, that's what it feels like. You're like, okay, all right. I don't know why you really needed to make that point, Rick.
What I really like about this, yeah.
No, you go. I want you to go.
What I really like about this match is that it's a normal wrestling match, and then the Gangstas afterwards do the Rodney King tape to Ricky Morton.
It's really interesting because I have never seen the term "get your heat back" more expertly displayed than the end of this match, which is a tepid drop kick leads to Mustafa, I believe, being pinned, and then immediately 8 guys jump in the ring and just fuck up the Rock and Roll Express, like to the point that I'm not sure that they were wrestlers. I think that they just found some guys and they were like, hey, you're in the Gangsters now, and they're like, wait, what is this? And it's like, look, do not talk in this building. It is operated by a bunch of firemen who are also in the Klan. When I tell you, go to the ring and beat up this blonde white man who definitely is going to yell at you from a car window later. Go ahead, have a good time.
But also, I will say this: New Jack, when he starts to like attack the Rock and Roll Express afterwards, is like, they are exhausted, and the other guys come into the ring. The Gangsta security team come in, and that exhausts them. Getting in the ring exhausts them. So it's just a bunch of exhausted people beating down a guy who's not the least exhausted person is the one bleeding at the end.
Yeah, the cardiovascular level that the Gangsters seem to hold themselves to is not nearly as high as I was expecting. I was expecting a much tighter.
But it's crazy, like, when you look at the Gangstas, it's like, oh, New Jack was like the workhorse. Because I was like, coming into this, I was like, yeah, New Jack does the promos, and Mustafa must have been like the dude who did the matches. But no, man, it is New Jack fucking being like, the whole match is New Jack, and he does the promos. Mustafa really is just like, he stands there.
Yeah, well, what I think it was Mustafa was supposed to be the workhorse, and then they saw Mustafa wrestle. They're like, "You're the guy that looks good. I don't like."
You are. Yeah, you're the intimidating guy.
Yeah, you're the guy who looks like you probably have the ability to punch someone, but of course you don't because it's professional wrestling. And the better you look, the worse you are at this. It's kind of like with music. The more soft and wholesome the image, the more guaranteed it's like, oh, that interview, I don't remember it because right before I put 1 gram of heroin in my asshole. Not even a heroin guy, just like putting stuff in my asshole. And you're like, okay, Billy Joel fucking parties.
Yeah, I guess wrestling tag teams, most of them at work are like, they make up what would make one great wrestler. Like the New Age Outlaws is like, okay, if you combined the best parts of Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, you'd get like a world champion. And the same thing with the Gangstas.
I prefer calling him Kip. It's just fun that his name is Kip.
Monty
Kip? Isn't it
Monty Sop?
was Monty Sop, but wasn't he called Kip at one point?
He's called Kip James.
Yeah, that's right, Kip James.
But Monty Sop, his real name is Monty Sop. When I found that out in grade 8, lost my mind laughing.
Well, it's the only reason why he's so handsome. If your name is Monty
True.
Sop, you better have abs when you're 60, or people are like, well, I'm more like Monty Slop. Hey!
White Christ gives with one hand, and White Christ takes away.
I'm just letting that hang out there. Okay, let me just say this one last thing about this match, and I don't think that this can be stressed enough.
Oh, the promo at the end, too.
Oh, yeah, there is a promo at the end. I totally forgot about the promo.
There's a promo at the end. Let me go to my notes. Oh, yeah. Uptown D'Lo Brown. Sure.
I mean, Uptown D'Lo Brown is I gotta tell you, what a great nickname. Also, fun trivia fact that this is where D'Lo Brown came from. That's what I wanted to say. Also, you can really tell where the Nation of Domination comes from when you just think for 1 second about the Gangstas gimmick with security, and you're like, wow, Vince McMahon has no ability to be creative. Like, his idea of creative is seeing something that someone else has already made, and then he's like, that's my idea. Here's your gimmick. You're Lawrence and you're from Arabia. Your name is Lawrence of Arabia.
I came up with that gimmick around the year 1900 before I was born, when real history happened.
I came up with that gimmick while I was watching Turner Classic Movies yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, this is the interesting thing about wrestling is that before... A lot of entertainment, when you get into it, is purely predatory. You sign a thing that's like, here's $100, you're in this movie, we get your likeness in perpetuity or whatever. Versus wrestling, It's like, okay, you're wrestling for $15, Cornette says during this Rock and Roll Express match. But kind of like, that makes the trade-off that like, okay, but now I've given you a character, so what do you get out of this? You get experience, and I get cheap labor, you get experience, and then you get this character that may make you money for the rest of your life, which New Jack's character did.
I was going to say, like, New Jack, of all of them, legitimately, like, he spent 9 months with Jim Cornette and Smokey Mountain Wrestling and ended up having a career so prosperous, his dying wish was to be covered in cocaine in a wheelchair, which I'm going to say it again. All of us are losers for not having that dying wish. We all suck. We're all bad. Also, we're not good. That's the best dying wish I've ever fucking heard in my fucking life, Dylan.
Whoa. Blink-182 at the end there. Also, I think wrestling, as I've said this again, needs more just openly taking from pop culture, because New Jack's name is New Jack from New Jack City, which is a movie that at this point is like 2 years old. Where are the wrestlers named Dune?
Yeah, exactly. Why isn't there a wrestler named Avengers Endgame?
Yeah, legit though, if it was the 90s,
and his tag team partner, Godfather Part 3. Oh my God.
No, I'm just saying that, like, if it was the 90s, the Roman Reigns in WrestleMania would be facing Thanos, and it would just be Braun Strowman in a mask.
I mean, we're all lucky that Vince McMahon hasn't yet seen Avengers, but understand, when Vince McMahon eventually takes over the Real American Freestyle Wrestling Association, started by Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, we are getting Thanos versus the Joker. Because here's the thing that everyone needs to remember. We've never seen a fully unbridled Vince McMahon. If we do, the first match at American Freestyle Wrestling is going to be Brock Lesnar just shitting on a woman. That's how you start on the
promotion. Dude, I mean, if Vince McMahon takes over Real American Wrestling, 100% the first match is Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar can still move, Kurt Angle can't. Kurt Angle dies. That's fucking wrestling, baby.
No one is on board with this conspiracy theory, but this is my main conspiracy theory. John Cena retires in December, immediately debuts at Real American Freestyle Wrestling as Vince McMahon's tag team partner. Because never forget, everyone else, when asked about Vince McMahon, what do you think about the accusations? I think it's very complicated, really fucked up. I don't like that happened. John Cena, I love him. I love him a lot. He is my lover.
I mean, both Roman Reigns came out and said he loves Donald Trump during WrestleMania press conferences, and then John Cena said, once again, I love Vince McMahon. So I don't think anyone gives a shit.
I mean, what's even weirder, if you stayed with that press conference, is Cody came out and was like, I'm a real Elizabeth Warren guy, and then you see Triple H walk out and be like, you're losing the fucking title tomorrow. You're losing.
I'm for E-dub without the C, Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah. Oh, no. I didn't enjoy that at all.
Elizabeth Cunting Warren, EC-dub. Anyway.
Whoa.
Oh, hell yeah. Do you know what John? Let's talk about the debut of the Gangstas. Something that...
Oh, I was just celebrating you talking about the debut of the Gangstas.
I was just nutting.
Yeah, I was just like...
Here's what I don't like about week-to-week TV ratings is I remember when AEW's first week came out, and they had all those vignettes, and everyone. If you wonder why they don't do opening vignettes for wrestlers in AEW, that's because those were always like low points for viewership. Apparently, people would change the channel when they saw a vignette because some people would like think it was a commercial or something, and that's why like you don't get like page one debuts of AEW wrestlers against just jobbers, which is flies in the face of what I like about professional wrestling, but that's literally why.
I think that the moment AEW went down was they're eliminating Dark, because let me just say this as a man who's got a very busy life right now, as he expects a child. All I want, and I completely understand Dylan used to talk about this as well, is I got 30 minutes to work out. And I want to watch a man walk to the ring with fun music and then beat the shit out of a guy who moves furniture on weekdays. What else do I need to fucking do, Tony Khan, you piece of garbage? Just give me that fucking sweetness. I just want fucking Lance Archer versus a man named Dave. I want Lance Archer to only kick him in the face very hard, and I want Dave to be pinned in a way that I know Dave no longer knows the name of his kids. What else do I have to fucking do, Tone?
Yeah, I mean, with the way that, like, TikTok turned out they were curating things so you'd only see hot people, the way everyone just like basically you're hardwired to like look at hot people more, so that's what social media feeds you. It is more remarkable to see someone who's a straight up jobber uggo. Like, have me out there do the classic jobber thing where I have the one strap like Jerry the King Lawler, so one of my huge nipples is showing, and then when Lance Archer slams me, my other huge nipple comes out. It'll go viral.
I have to say this right now. Dylan says a lot of really stupid things. But right there is literally the smartest thing I've ever heard anyone say ever in my entire life.
That is true. And then, and then my nuts flop out, but my dick doesn't, so it's just both my nuts flopping out, and then I go, nut guy. That's what he's going to show you his nuts. Oh, gross. You lose.
I have never heard someone follow up the smartest thing they've ever said with an even smarter thing. It's happened right now. I am no hard. I have never had a boner inspired by intelligence before.
Oh, yeah. Smokey, I think we should stop our ECW, what if they were an ECW thing, and just start a what if they were in Smokey Mountain Wrestling thing, because how many... Harvey Weinstein would have been immediately hired as the fucking commissioner of Smokey Mountain Wrestling.
He'd be a heel, but he'd be a heel, not because of all the sexual assaults, but because he is a successful Jewish man.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. We're on the same page. Yeah. He would be like, Jews do, if they don't run everything, then why does he get to do that? Huh?
Also, bear in mind, you know what Bob Caudle's other job was? I just thought of this. The commentator of Smokey Mountain was Jesse Helms' assistant. So one of the last, like, what if we bring segregation back?
It was not Jesse Helms'.
I think he was. I think he worked for Jesse Helms. Because it was one of those things where the reason why they could get Bob Caudle...
There's no way Jesse Helms had a male assistant.
I bet you... Well, he was white.
Segregation now. Send me a fucking 18-year-old dead. Send me an 18-year-old forever.
You're also thinking of Strom Thurmond. You're thinking of Strom Thurmond and not Jesse Helms. It is hard. Listen.
They're all one guy to me. God, anyway, you look up Jesse Helms.
I think he worked for Bob... Yeah.
Whatever. Not the first thing we've been wrong about, but would be super fun if it was right. Anyway... Their debut of the Gangstas versus Chris Hamrick and Anthony Michael. They come to the ring with a security force. Bob Caudle works in that they have their own security force because they don't trust the police because they think the police are bad, which in 1992 is a crazy thing to say, but it's like...
It is incredibly impressive that, and I have to imagine the restraint exercise, and I didn't even think of this, is that during the Thunderdome era of WWE, the fact that I assume Vince McMahon tried to, hired New Jack, had the contract signed and everything, only to realize New Jack had been dead for some time.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy to see New Jack wrestling without weapons. Like, he does a clothesline, he leaves his feet several times. I really like how his outfit is just like wrestling, and then like with the torn t-shirt, that's really cool. They're obviously, but they're from Oakland. They're just like, what's the most evil thing we could think of? Black people from Oakland, California, who like the Raiders.
From South, they just say, I believe they actually just say South Central, and you're actually incorrect because they're not Oakland. That's the LA Raiders period of time, and it's the only time I've actually seen wrestling go on the zeitgeist.
I thought they mentioned they were from Oakland specifically.
Again, we're dealing with Bob Caudle. He doesn't know where things are in California.
He probably thinks the Raiders are still in Oakland. That is right.
Yeah, I think he probably, if you found Bob Caudle now, you'd be like, how's Al Davis? And I talked to him recently, pretty good. Bob Caudle definitely knew Jesse Helms because they worked together at a TV station. I can't find more information on Bob Caudle. It's very impressive. The only thing that mentions him are sites that clearly were ported over from Angel Fire and GeoCities. It's that weird thing about wrestling, and that certain guys really just get like, well, look, Dave Meltzer did not mention him enough for me to Google him, and he wasn't part of the Attitude Era for no reason, so he gets to skate, and that's Bob Caudle right there, baby.
A lot of that stuff is like that dead media lost the time. I think you were talking about that the other day of like things getting taped over. Like a lot of TV, a lot of early TV has been erased like that. A lot of old Memphis matches have been erased like that, like just like taping over the same thing. But at one point in this match, Bob Caudle just lists off the tag teams in Smokey Mountain Wrestling, and it's pretty impressive. And it does open your eyes to the fact that, like, oh, when did Smokey Mountain close? Huh. When did ECW get its reputation as having great wrestling? Interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just take Smokey Mountain and are like I said, like Smokey Mountain is like a dirty comedian. ECW is like a dark, edgy comedian now, where it's like Smokey Mountain just does it. ECW talks about it.
Yeah, this is the exact thing. Is ECW or Smokey Mountain Wrestling is a comedian, and it turns out he's like sometimes a shit in front of the audience, and you're like, what? But it's like got some sort of a justification, and it builds. And ECW is literally just the open micer that smells like sour milk, who is going to be dropping a hard N followed by a hard R. Both kinds.
Yeah. Primetime Brian Lee and Chris Candido. The Heat Seekers, Lance Storm and Chris Jericho. The Rock and Roll Express, the Armstrong Brothers, and the Gangstas. That's a fucking tag division.
Was Lance Storm and Chris Jericho called the Heat Seekers, or were they called the like? I thought they were called like the Hot Adventure Boys that are here to do flips. Like they had a really weird name.
The Suck Guys.
That's right. They were called the Suck Guys. That's right. And the whole gimmick was they don't suck.
Let your dick fall out of your pants. I'll suck it off the ground. Lance Storm is a very technical way to do that. Chris Jericho will get Lance Storm to do that. That is the last thing they want to do together.
First of all, and everyone knows this, but I'm going to say it again. Rat Tail Lance Storm, best Lance Storm. Nothing says you're from the middle of Canada more than you got yourself a rat tail unironically in your 20s.
I was forced to do this by Christopher. That was my favorite reason the Heat Seekers failed, was Jericho wouldn't fuck the like twos, which is so funny because of all the bad things you want to say about Chris Jericho, probably his redeeming quality is that he wasn't excited to fuck the 13-year-olds Jim Cornette tried to set him up with.
First of all, it's called Feeding the Rats, Dylan, and I will not sit here while you besmirch their fine name. For example, one of the ladies... are
you reading a list of the ladies right now?
No, one of the ladies... No, I'm trying to get Lance Storm and Chris Jericho's tag team name, because I don't think it was the Heat Seekers, you fucker.
Okay. Well, I'll keep talking. This is
the other thing I just want to say. Stop. This is the other thing I wanted to say. Hot boy. It's part of the problem with the rats, though, was also when Brian Mitchell said this defending Lance Storm and Chris Jericho. He was like, but part of the problem with having sex with the rats in Smokey Mountain Wrestling is Brian Lee was so embedded in there, they were all paying for his stuff, so he'd get sensitive. Which was the other side of it, which is the crazier devil's advocate. It's not that they were disgusted. They just didn't want to have to fight a guy who, after he punched you, he'd put some of his hair in your mouth.
Those are my 13-year-olds.
Yeah, because, and this is one of the weirdest things ever. He goes, I was at this rat, and I looked over on her arm, and it said, P-O-P-T, and then I realized, oh no, property of prime time. She had tattooed.
Oh, God.
It's just like,
that's nuts.
The Thrill Seekers, you fucker. They weren't called the Heat Seekers. They were called the Thrill Seekers.
Okay, who are the Heat Seekers?
That's you and me.
Oh, whoa, we're seeking heat.
Yo, watch out, everybody. We're hot to touch because we've been seeking heat for some time.
Ooh. So, okay. The Thrill Seekers. Maybe they said the Thrill Seekers then. Who knows? I am autistic, and that is honestly what makes me a victim. But then they finish it with the slam butt, and they slam a bunch of butt. New Jack's butt's up there. Mustafa's butt's up there. That's it.
They're slamming them shut. Because people go, when you do a slam butt, is the butt opening or closed? I'll tell you this. It's closing up. You're closing up the butt.
Like, did I send you the Instagram reel of Shawn Michaels literally kissing for like 4 12-year-old girls? And then the comments are like, that's a fucking child. And I was like, holy shit. No. Is Shawn Michaels' reckoning coming?
No, it's not. like he's now
No,
too
never.
high in the company. Like also like let's talk about all the clips from the 2010s when TMZ would find Shawn Michaels at an airport and they're like, "Hey, what do you think of women? You mean those toilets I use? Hey, what do you think of gays? I don't want to be political, but they're bad. Should be put in a camp and killed. Heartbreak Kid." Why are you singing your own theme song?
Oh, Sean, I
Like,
think I'm
yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
I wanna suck you. Anyway, here, the slam butt. Lee Thomas and Scott Studd. This is the final match. The Gangstas versus Lee Thomas and Scott Studd for the Northern Georgia Tag Team title. Scott Studd is Scotty Riggs. Lee Thomas is, I'm sure, me or you or somebody.
It's us. Before we begin, I would just like to know I spent about 15 minutes after this match trying to figure out who the opponents were, only to look at the title and have it revealed. And I will tell you, I was embarrassed. I felt really bad. I almost messaged you, "Hey, have you figured out who these wrestlers are in this match?" And I'm glad I didn't, but I'm even more glad that I owned it now.
This is a fan cam footage from the 90s. Imagine a tape trading thing where you get like some big Japan match from Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, and someone's like, "You want to see Scott Studd? No, too bad. You already took the tape."
It is wild in that the energy in that room is fascinating in that it is, you see the appeal of territory wrestling. You see how all of those guys who came through that system in the late 70s, early 80s would be like, how can Vince McMahon compete with us? We have this fucking crazy, sparky, insane energy, and he has an amusement park. And it's just like, oh, you don't understand. Let me explain something to you called the Reagan 80s. You're fucked.
Yeah, it's not like, this is the thing. It's not like even cheering. It's just people fucking screaming. And then like
just
everyone's
fucking,
screaming shit. There's no like, and when you watch WWE, it's like all fucking, everyone's like got a choreographed chant they fucking do or some shit. And it's like, there's none of that here. It's just people fucking screaming.
Well, because
one lady keeps calling New Jack, "Hey, New Jack, hit him on his bald, hit that guy on his bald head." That's what they keep yelling at New Jack.
It's not really kid focused. It's this weird thing
No.
of like, it's this weird version of like a family event. Like the closest I could get to is it's like, it's the thing your dad also makes you go to besides church, but at this one you get to scream. Like that's what it has. It has the energy of like kids are there, but they're playing in the stairwell while their mom, dad, and grandma have 9 beers and say the things they usually only get angry at their kids for repeating. You know what I mean? Like that. It's such a different vibe. Like it's basically like if Smokey Mountain Wrestling and ECW's fans were compared, Smokey Mountain Wrestling is like a whole family, and ECW fans are just the one older brother from those families that doesn't like their grandmother's politics. Like that's the difference between the two of them.
Yeah, it's interesting though because it's like you get the Stud and the Tom Man, and they're in pink trunks, which is like, hey, you're supposed to dislike these guys because they represent something you don't like. And what do you like? These hot guys in these pink trunks showing their cock a bit.
Yeah, they're showing it a bit, not too much, but it's pretty cool though. Gangsters come out; they have so much security, and this match is also their longest match by far, which I think is very interesting because you also see the why, which is like, hey, the Gangsters they don't have any moves. They don't know. Like watching this match, I was like, Paul Heyman's a genius. Like I was always like, man, like he saw New Jack and he was like, look, without there being another guy that you can switch, people are gonna realize you're both really bad at this really fast. So here's what we're gonna fucking do. Hit people with things.
New Jack comes out before the match with a promo where he has the Confederate flag and the audio's choppy, but he says someone's going to be the president and people boo. I assume that's just like, I think that we're going to make us have even more equal rights, and then people go nuts.
Well, this may have been at the period of time where you have to remember Jesse Jackson around the 1992 presidential election was, I believe, one of the nominees for the Democratic leadership. Like it was a big thing between him and Bill Clinton. Will he endorse Bill Clinton? So I think that's what he's referencing.
Okay, well, sure.
Here's how crazy Barack Obama winning the presidency of the United States is that in like a scant 14 years before, people were like, Jesse Jackson's running for the nomination of the Democratic Party. Well, that party's over. That party's done. George H.W. Bush is going to walk through this now. The idea, the notion.
So they do, and I'm not exaggerating here, 10-minute arm lock. There's like 10 minutes of an arm story told where the baby faces are beating the heels, then they flip it, the heels beat the baby faces up, and really it's just a series of clotheslines and arm ringers until you get Mr. Lee Thomas, the man himself, who I'm sure is like Seth Rollins' dad or something, but he hits a moonsault. He gets a visual fall on Mustafa. New Jack drops an elbow on him, which I don't know if New Jack, like, there was like a thing where he put a foreign object in his elbow or something, but he drops an elbow that murders Lee Thomas, and then he covers Lee Thomas, and there's kind of a fuck up here where they don't even do the like old 90s thing where you just clap to say that you got tagged in. He just covers him and then that's it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating end to the match because you realize they missed something and now they're in a odd situation.
Yeah. Also, the ref for Smokey Mountain Wrestling, long hair, suspenders, and one arm pad.
This is exactly what I wanted to say, and then I have to run because of a situation. It's the greatest referee I've ever seen in my entire life. Every referee needs to look like that they are a roadie for the band Cinderella. This is how you fucking do it. He has so much authority. I couldn't take my eyes off the referee. I just wanted him to play a fun Moog keyboard solo.
Ooh. All right. So that's it. That's New Jack and Mustafa, the Gangstas in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Next week, we'll be doing the matches of fucking THESZ. Fuck you, John.
Oh, what a switch. Yeah.
Fuck you, John.
God, I can't. Thank you, Dylan.
You're going to watch this on 2.0 speed, and it's still going to take longer than anything you've done in your life.
Yeah, I was able to watch all of the New Jack matches in 45 minutes. I will spend the week watching THESZ matches and not even getting close. I have to leave now. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Have a great night. Rate, review, subscribe, and rate and subscribe. Bye, guys.